Welcome to the chapter where we discuss how to analyze the hair before coloring with the plant dye. Analyzing the hair type and its condition is essential because an error in judgment can deliver a different color result than expected. Now, it's possible to correct a color that is too intense or not intense enough, but it is impossible to make the hair lighter if the coloration was too dark. Here are a few aspects that need to be considered. First of all, the hair's natural color needs to be determined. This is necessary so that you understand the possibilities with the plant dye. Let's give you an example. A client has very dark hair naturally, but due to chemical dye, it is considerably lighter. Based on the color you see at the moment, it would seem that lighter colors with the plant dye should be possible. Once the hair starts to grow out, however, and the natural darker hairs appear, it becomes apparent that a lighter color is not possible. Next, you also need to explore the client's color history. You need to know if the person has previously used a chemical dye, a perm, or if the hair is bleached. This is to determine if you need to use a clay mask or an oil treatment to prepare the hair for the natural dye. When to choose what will be explained later on. At this point, you can also determine if a single or a double application will be needed. When the hair is very damaged, the choice will differ. This leads us immediately to the next aspect, the porosity of the hair. Hair porosity has an important effect on the attachment of the pigment to the hair because very damaged or porous hair has wide open cuticles, resulting in a lot of pigment penetration in the cortex. This is especially true with cold pigments like indigo, which normally need a longer processing time to be effective. In the case of damaged hair, especially bleached hair, the process is reversed. Weak pigments affix more quickly to the hair, which can lead to over-neutralization and therefore a green reflect. To prevent this from happening, adapt your technique. For a single application, use fewer indigo pigments and regularly check the effects of these pigments. For a double application, shorten the processing time for the second application containing the indigo. Keep in mind that if the client has very damaged, bleached hair, a double application is a safer option because it is easier to monitor. In the case of the opposite, namely very strong hair, you need to think in the opposite way. If you respect the normal processing time, the color will be considerably brighter and lighter. So, for a same coloring effect, you need to take into account the processing time. Next, you need to take into account the percentage of gray hair. The amount of gray hair a person has is important because the more gray hair, the more a double application is needed if the client wants an all-over uniform color. Now, how the gray hairs are distributed is also an essential factor. If they are distributed evenly all over the scalp, you can choose a single or double application based on how the client wants them covered. Transparency effect, or uniform color. If, on the other hand, the hairs are unevenly distributed and growing in patches, a single application with a color rinse is needed to create a uniform color that covers the patches of gray hair. The final step is that you need to consider the thickness of the hair and its structure, as it affects not only how well the pigments affix to the hair, but also the length of the processing time. A pigment will have a harder time affixing to thick hair, while it will affix much more quickly to fine hair. The processing time will therefore be longer for thick hair, and for fine hair, shorter.